it's me, your mom, and you're not going back to school for 2 weeks because you might have COVID-19. So you're telling me I have to be quarantined for 2 weeks? Okay, should probably do some homework considering I'm stuck here for 14 days. Taking a hot minute today. Ooh.
Hey guys, have you ever just sat down and wondered, what's a band chair? What is it? What is it really? I'm here to give you the answer to that question. I will quest for your sake.
So chairs are kind of a competitive thing that high school and professional groups do. And basically the better you are at playing your instrument, the higher the chair is that you earn. First chair means that you're a really top-notch, outstanding player, someone that works really hard, that practices and is a good leader within the group. If there's a solo for that instrument, it's always the first chair person that gets that solo. And, if we ever go into small group practices or sectionals, the first chair player will lead those practices for the band.
What does having a band chair mean?
Means it determines what part you get in bands.
Whoever does the best gets the first chair. Whoever does the worst gets the last chair.
The difference between first and second part, and it's a bunch of pride, honestly.
Having a band chair, it really just determines your part, but technically it's whoever's the best player in the section.
What does having first chair mean?
First chair means you play first part, which is the highest part usually, and it means you are the best person in the section. It comes with bragging rights.
And also it changes quite a bit. That means you are the top part and have a possible for a solo in your section. I'd like to have anywhere between first and third, but it really just depends on how well anyone plays in that moment.
Going for first because the first chair graduated.
How much practice does it usually take to get something like first chair?
If you don't practice, your chair is going to be terrible, so you have to practice. It's non-negotiable.
It just depends on how familiar you are with the music.
Oh, you're back from that experience, I see. Well, Guess you've learned all you can, huh? Now you can just impress everybody. You know what a band chair is now.
Have you ever wanted to make your own money? There are many Indian Lake students already employed from fast food restaurants to local businesses. Be sure to look out for them contributing to our community when you're out and about.
Where do you work?
Hurley Farms.
What skills have you learned from working here?
Responsibility. Since like the end of quarantine, so like beginning of summer. Just having money to spend.
I work at the landing with my dad.
What skills have you learned from working here?
I wipe down tables, so I guess multitasking. The last 2 years, I wanted money to buy video games, and that's the best way to do it. I run around and have the waitresses yell at me while I wipe tables down and old ladies hit on me.
I work at Cranberries. I learned a lot of customer service skills. This is my first summer working there. So I'm a hostess, so I seat people. I have to make sure they have their mask on, and I just make sure there's enough distance between each of the tables.
Where do you work?
The Lakeview Hardware.
What skills have you learned from working there?
Customer service skills, especially how to not get angry with people when they're being rude with you. I think 2 years. I wanted my own money, and I didn't want to ask my parents for everything. I get up in the morning, get dressed and go, and then on Sundays I'll go get coffee from McDonald's.
Where do you work?
Community market.
What skills have you learned from working here?
Really just positive communication, I'd say. Since April. I was tired of listening to my parents complain about me spending their money. I'm a cashier, so basically all I do is scan groceries all day.
Where do you work?
Arby's.
What skills have you learned from working here?
That I need to be a nicer person and be more polite.
How long have you worked here?
About a month. I didn't want to ask my mom for money anymore, so I decided to just get a job and buy my own things. Usually I go to work after school, after practice.
Where do you work?
Spend a day marina.
What skills have you learned from working there?
Good time management and good labor skills. About 2 months. It's more like my mom pressured me into getting a job, and so I could get more responsibility in my life.
Because it lets you have some money to spend over the summer so you can go do fun things with friends.
Because you gotta make that money somehow.
Why?
Because it builds good skills that you need later in life.
I think having a job is a good experience, and it gives kids a sense of responsibility.
Just to have extra spending money.
You gotta make that money.
I come from a pretty big family, and if you didn't know, I'm part of the Harford family. I was wondering if other people experience the same things that I do with my big family. So I went around the school and I asked a couple of them.
I have 8 other siblings and then just my mom and dad. Celeste, then me, Creek, Everett, Isla, Emmett, Cober, Eleanor, and Killian.
10. My mom, my dad, then Elizabeth, Mark, Becca, Ben, Sarah, Marianne, me, and Daniel.
There's my older brother Bo, me, Dalton, Matthias, Jackson, Gracie, Isabel, and my older sister Morgan.
There's 10 people: my mom, dad, Chloe, Holly, me, Kylie, Natalie, Stephanie, Bethany, and Luke.
When people see your family, what is the most asked question?
If all of if my parents were had different marriages.
They ask what religion we are.
How do people react when they see your big family?
I know their eyes kind of because we all look the same and we all act the same. We're all goofy and.
They always are really surprised at how many kids there are, and they always ask how many of us there are.
We're surprised that we have a big family. Also count us.
They're really surprised most times.
We have to go grocery shopping about once a week, and we get a lot of groceries.
We go to the grocery store at least once a week.
Probably once every 2 weeks or so.
Once a week, probably.
How much is groceries?
It's quite a bit of money.
When I was little, it was a lot, hundreds of dollars. But now since it's just Daniel and I at home with my parents, it's only $100 or so.
Do you like having a big family, and why?
It's pretty fun because then there's more people you can hang out with and talk to.
Yes, because
we are all like really close. We're all best friends with each other, and we all can share stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Just more siblings, and it makes it more chaos around the house.
The worst part is that they get annoying.
Getting in trouble when you mess with them.
They're all really loud and annoying.
Probably everyone comes in your room, and you don't get a lot of alone time.
Do you like being an only child?
No. Yeah.
And what is it like being an only child?
Boring. Most people kind of think it's lonely, but I mean, that kind of fits my personality. I kind of like to be alone sometimes.
Do you wish you had siblings?
Yes. No.
What did you do to entertain yourself when you were younger?
Go outside, talk to trees.
And
I played a lot of video games instead of watching Disney movies.